My name is Radhakrishna. I am working as senior lecturer in chemistry at Cornell Polytechnic College, Gadwal. In the last class, we have commenced electrochemistry. Let us try to recall what we have learned before proceeding further. Yesterday, we have seen what we have classified substances into conductors and non-conductor insulators. Okay. Substances which allow electricity to pass through them are called as conductors. They are called as conductors, whereas the substances which do not allow electricity to pass through them are called insulators. Examples of conductors are all metals, all metals, graphite. Graphite is the only non-metal which conducts electricity, and aqueous solutions of acids, bases, and salts. These all conduct electricity. Okay. Then there are certain substances which will not allow passage of electricity through them. These substances are called as non-conductors or insulators. They are also called as. Examples of these are plastic, dry wood, rubber, etc., paper. All these are examples of insulators. Again, we have classified conductors into two types. What are they? Can anybody tell me? Well, we divided conductors depending upon the mode of conduction, how they conduct electricity through them. There are two types of conductors, metallic conductors and electrolytic conductors. Metallic conductors, let us see each one by one. Metallic conductors are also called as electronic conductors because here the conduction occurs by means of free flow of electrons. Okay, conduction occurs by means of free flow of electrons, whereas in the electrolytic conduction, in the electrolytic conduction takes place by means of a movement of ions. In the case of metallic conduction, first let us deal with all the aspects of metallic conduction. Okay, the conduction is by means of a free movement of electrons. Where do electrons go from where? Okay, electrons always move from a point of higher potential to a point of lower potential. They always move from point of higher potential to point of lower potential. Whereas, okay, and we consider electrons as unit negative charges. We consider them as unit negative charges, and we don't consider electrons to have any mass. We consider them practically having no mass at all. So we consider them as only unit charges, unit negative charges. So when the electrons move from one place to another place, we say that there is no movement of mass. Okay, and it is also a physical phenomena, the conduction, electronic conduction or metallic conduction, because in the conductors no chemical changes will occur. Conductors remain the same before the conduction and as well as after the conduction. Okay, when the temperature increases in the in the metallic conduction, when the temperature increases, okay, when the temperature increases, the resistance of the metallic conductor will also increase. Okay, so when the resistance increases, the conductivity obviously decreases. So in the case of metallic conductors, with increasing temperature, the conductivity decreases. Okay, let us see the points once again. In the case of metallic conductors, conduction is by means of free movement of electrons. There is no movement of mass. No chemical reactions will occur. Since it is only a physical change. Okay, when the temperature increases, the conductivity, metallic conduction, the conductivity decreases. Conduction of metallic conductors will decrease. Then we will go for electrolytic conductors. These are also called as ionic conductors because here it is the conduction is by means of movement of ions. These ions move from one place to another place. So, conduction is by means of movement of ions. Where do the ions move? Ions always move towards oppositely charged ions. The cations, which are positively charged ions, will always move towards negatively charged electrode, that is cathode. Likewise, the anions, which are positively charged anions, which are negatively charged ions, will always move towards anode, which is a positively charged electrode. So, ions move towards oppositely charged electrodes. Then, whenever these ions move, each ion will have a specific mass. Even the lowest atomic weight hydrogen also has some mass. Okay. So, ions do possess mass. So, when the ions move from one place to another, there is movement of mass. Also, during electrolyte conduction, chemical reactions take place. Electrolyte is decomposed. Electrolyte undergoes decomposition, okay, into constituent elements. So, electrolytic conduction involves chemical reactions. When the temperature increases, the conductivity will also increase, because most of the chemical reactions show positive correlation with the increase in temperature. This is also same. So, when the temperature increases, the electrolytic conduction will also increase. Okay. To compare these two conductions, in the metallic conductors, conduction is by means of free movement of electrons. Electrolytic conduction is by means of movement of ions. Electrons move from higher potential to lower potential. Ions move towards oppositely charged electrodes. No mass movement, no movement of mass in the metallic conduction. Movement of mass occurs in the electrolytic conduction. No chemical reactions take place in the metallic conduction. Chemical reactions occur in the electrolytic conduction. Metallic conduction decreases with increase in temperature. Electrolytic conduction increases with increase in temperature. Then we have defined an electrolyte. Electrolyte is a substance. Substances we further subdivided substance into electrolytes and non-electrolytes. Electrolyte is a substance that conducts electricity by the that conducts electricity in two states, in the molten state and in the solution. It conducts electricity in these two states because in these two states ions are capable of movement, free movement. Okay. So, in these two states, molten state means when a solid electrolyte or ionic compound is heated to very high temperature, it changes phase from solid to liquid state. That is called as molten state or fused state. So, those substances which conduct electricity in the molten state or in solution are called as electrolytes. Non-electrolytes are the substances which do not conduct electricity under any circumstances. Example, urea solution, glucose solution, starch solution, all these are examples of non-electrolytes. They do not conduct electricity either in the fused state or in solution. Electrolytes are further divided into two types, strong electrolytes and weak electrolytes. Strong electrolytes are those substances which undergo almost complete ionization into constituent ions even at the moderate concentrations. What do you mean by moderate? A moderate moderate means it is neither too high nor too low, in between, medium concentration, neither low concentration nor high concentration, but medium concentration. So, strong electrolytes undergo cent% ionization and give rise to a large number of ions. For example, HCl is imagine HCl is a strong electrolyte. You take 100 molecules of HCl, dissolve in water, all the 100 HCl molecules dissociate to give rise to 100 H plus ions and 100 Cl minus ions, chloride ions. Cent percent ionization is there. Okay, whereas so these they are strong electrolytes are furnishing a large number of ions because they undergo complete ionization. Conductivity is always proportional to the number of ions present in the solution. Since here in the case of strong electrolytes, the number of ions is more, okay, because they are undergoing complete ionization and releasing large number of ions. Since number of ions is more in the case of strong electrolytes, okay, their conductivity will also be high. Conductivity of strong electrolytes will be high because it depends upon the number of the ions. Okay, examples are HCl, H2SO4, NaOH, KOH, NaCl, KCl. All these are examples of strong electrolytes. Okay, then weak electrolytes. Weak electrolytes are the substances which undergo incomplete or partial ionization into constant ions at moderate concentrations, at medium concentrations or moderate concentrations. Since they undergo only moderate incomplete dissociation or incomplete ionization to furnish ions, they don't release large number of ions, they release fewer number of ions. For example, acetic acid you take, when dissolved in water, it dissociates. If you take 100 molecules of acetic acid, only 30 or 40 will dissociate to form H plus and CH3COO minus, H plus ion and acetate ions decomposed into. But only fewer number of ions are formed. Since on dissociation of weak electrolytes, fewer number of ions are formed, and since the conductivity depends upon the number of ions present, the conductivity of weak electrolytes is low. Okay, examples of weak electrolytes are CH3COOH, NH4OH, okay, NH4OH, etc. And this is how we have recapitulated. This is what we have learned yesterday. We solved a few questions as well. Today, let us deal with the Arrhenius theory of electrolytic dissociation. Okay, and we have seen nature of the electrolytes. We have seen. Okay, so to recapitulate, yeah, you have already recapitulated. Okay, recap. What is an electrolyte? We have seen any substance which can allow passage of electricity by transfer of ions in liquid state or in solution state. Examples for electrolytes: acids, bases, and salt solutions. Okay, what is meant by ionization? The process of splitting of electrolytes into ions. Example: CH3COH gives CH3COO minus plus H plus. This is the process of ionization. Okay, Arrhenius theory of electrolytic dissociation. Okay, now let us deal with the Arrhenius theory of electrolytic dissociation. Main postulates: all electrolytes in solution or in molten state spontaneously dissociate into charged particles called ions. Say any electrolyte you take, okay, either if it is changed by heating, if its state is state is changed from solid state to liquid state, or if it is dissolved in aqueous solution, it spontaneously by itself, okay, it dissociates into or ionizes into constant ions. For example, HCl gives H plus ions plus OH minus ions. Likewise, NaOH gives NaOH dissociates into Na plus plus OH minus ions. Likewise, KCl dissociates into K plus plus K plus and Cl minus ions. Okay, so these are all electrolytes. All ionic compounds are electrolytes. These electrolytes undergo spontaneous dissociation or spontaneous ionization, okay, when dissolved in water or in the molten state. So, in the molten state or in the solution, ions are freely mobile, they can move from place to place. And the positively charged particles are called cations and negatively charged particles are anions. Say when HCl dissociates into H plus and Cl minus ions, we have a H plus ion. This H plus ion is called as a cation because it is positively charged, and the Cl minus ion is called anion because it is negatively charged. So, all positively charged ions are called cations and all negatively charged ions are called anions. Positively charged ions are called cations, negatively charged ions are called anions. Okay. Next, total positive charge on the cations is equal to the total negative charge present on the anions. It is equal and opposite also. Okay. Total positive charge present on the cations is equal to the total negative charge present on the anions. Thus, the solution of electrolyte is neutral. For instance, you consider you took 100 HCl molecules, all the 100 dissociates into to give rise to 100 H plus ion and 100 Cl minus ion. What is the total number of positive ions? 100 H plus ions are there, so total positive charges are 100. How many negative ions are there? 100 chloride ions are there, so 100 negative charges are also there. Okay. So, total positive charge is obviously equal and opposite to the total negative charge. So, each balance the other, the positive charge balances the negative charge and vice versa. So, there is no excess of any charge. Okay. So, the solution, electrolyte solution essentially remains neutral. Electrolyte solution essentially remains neutral. Let us take another example. Aluminum chloride, dissolution of aluminum chloride. Imagine aluminum chloride dissociates to give rise to 10 Al3 plus ions and 30 Cl minus ions. AlCl3 gives rise to AlCl3 dissociates into Al3 plus ion plus 3 Cl minus ion. Okay. So, imagine 10 aluminum chloride ions molecules are dissociated in the water or in the molten state. So, 10 Al ions, aluminum ions are there, 10 into each is carrying 3 units of positive charge, 10 into 3, 30 units of positive charge you have. For each aluminum molecule dissociating, you are getting 3 chloride ions. Okay. So, for 10 AlCl3 molecules, you will get 30 Cl minus ions. So, total negative charge is also 30. Total positive charge is 30, total negative charge is 30. So, that is what the theory mentions, Arrhenius theory mentions. The total positive charge is equal to total negative charge. As such, the solution remains electrically neutral. It bears neither positive charge nor any negative charge. It essentially remains neutral. The process of electrolytic dissociation or ionization is reversible. Okay. The process of electrolytic dissociation or ionization is reversible dynamic equilibrium process. Reversible means the reaction takes place in both ways. The reactant dissociates into products and products again combine to form reactants. The reactant forming products, dissociating into products is called as a forward reaction. HCl when put into water dissociates into H plus and Cl minus. In brackets AQ is given, right? It means that these ions are aquated. Okay, aquated. That means H plus ions are surrounded by many H2O ions. Likewise, Cl minus ions are also surrounded by many H2O ions. So, they are aquated, and this is a forward reaction. In the forward reaction, HCl is dissociating into H plus and Cl minus ions. In the backward reaction, Cl minus and H plus. In the backward reaction, Cl minus and H plus ions are combining together. Okay, they are combining together to form HCl back. Okay, this process after some time what happens is HCl keeps on dissociating into H plus and Cl minus and H plus and Cl minus will keep on combining to form HCl. The both forward and backward processes will take place simultaneously. It keeps on happening. Okay, this process is called as a dynamic equilibrium. For example, I will give you a familiar example. You take some water and keep a lid on that and start heating the water. Put it on a stove, heat source and start boiling the water. Initially there is no vapor, only water we had. After boiling for some time, water turns into vapor. Okay, this vapor strikes the lid, bottom side of the lid, and again condenses back to liquid. After some time, what happens is you can see both the processes taking place: water turning into vapor, vapor condensing back into the liquid. Okay. So forward reaction is water turning into vapor, backward reaction is vapor condensing back to the water. Okay. This process, both these processes will go on happening. At any instant, some water will be turning into vapor state, some vapor will be turning into condensing back into water. Okay. So this forward and backward reaction will continue to take place throughout the process. Such reactions where both forward and back reactions take place, we say that they are in the state of equilibrium or dynamic equilibrium. Okay. I hope you have understood the concept of equilibrium. This concept of equilibrium is very much essential, and if you cannot imagine this, it is very difficult to understand scientific process, especially in the topics like chemical kinetics, thermodynamics. They are entirely based on the concept of equilibrium. Okay. Yeah, Arrhenius theory continued. The properties of electrolyte in the solution are the properties of ions produced. Say, when an electrolyte is dissolved in a solution, in a solvent to make solution, okay, the solution exhibits properties of the electrolyte itself, that is in the form of ions. Okay. For example, if you take copper sulfate, dissolve it in water, cupric ions are blue in color. Okay, hydrated cupric ions are blue in color. The solution turns blue. Okay, solution turns blue because it is exhibiting the color of copper ions. Okay, it is exhibiting the color of copper ions. Okay, it shows blue color. So the properties of solution is same as the properties of ions. Okay, pure water is not it's not poisonous. If you dissolve some poisonous salt, the water becomes poisonous because it acquires the characteristics of the salts dissolved in the water. Okay. So the properties of the electrolyte in the solution are properties of ions produced. Okay. So electrolyte exists in the solution in the form of ions. Okay. So since it exists in the form of ions, the electrolyte properties are exhibited like those of the ions. Okay. Next, when the electricity is passed through the electrolyte, okay, when the electricity is passed through the electrolyte, cations move towards cathode while anions move towards anode. This explains the phenomena of conductivity and electrolysis. See, we took water, you have taken water and dissolved some electrolyte like sodium chloride into that water, and you have dipped two metal platinum rods into that, and you connected this platinum rod to some external EMF like battery. Okay. one rod is connected to negative terminal, another is connected to positive terminal. Okay, the rod connected to positive terminal becomes anode and possesses positive charge. The rod connected to negative terminal becomes cathode and possesses positive charge. When you switch on electricity, these rods gain polarity. One rod becomes positively charged, another becomes negatively charged. So cations which are positively charged automatically move towards cathode which is negatively charged. Likewise, the anions which are negatively charged will move towards positively charged anode. It is a fundamental law of nature that opposite poles attract and like poles repel. Okay, here also the ions are moving towards opposite charge electrodes. Okay, this is how ionic conduction or electrolytic conduction takes place. It also explains the process of electrolysis, which we will consider shortly a little after in this chapter. Okay, in this chapter we will deal with electrolysis and we will see the examples as well. So ions discharge their charges at the electrodes. Ions discharge. Ions are charge species, right? They get neutralized and lose their charges at the electrodes. Cations lose their charges. Cations are positively charged. Cations lose their charge by gaining of the electrons. Okay, cations are positively charged. If they gain electrons, their positive charge will be nullified. Likewise, anions lose they are discharged or they lose their charge by anions are having negatively charged. They are having extra electrons. Okay, they lose these extra electrons at the anode. Okay, so they are discharged. So cations gain electrons, they are discharged at the cathode. That is released from the solution. They come out of the solution, get deposited or liberated at the cathode. Likewise, anions they get discharged at the anode by losing their extra electrons. Okay, discharge their charge. So oxidation takes place at the anode because loss of electrons is anions are losing their extra electron. Loss of electron we define as oxidation, right? Do you remember oxidation reduction? Okay, loss of electrons is oxidation, gain of electrons is reduction. Since anions they are losing their extra electron at the anode, okay, so this loss of electron is called oxidation. So anions undergo oxidation. Oxidation takes place as anode. Likewise, cations are gaining electrons at the cathode. So reduction takes place at cathode. Okay, so ions are they discharge, they lose their charges at the electrodes, and the ions are discharged at the electrodes from the electrolyte solution. The electrolytic conductivity of an electrolyte solution, the electrolytic conductivity of an electrolyte solution depends on the number of ions present in the solution. Yeah, the conductivity of an electrolyte solution depends on the number of ions. The more is the number of ions, the greater will be the electric conductivity. The fewer is the number of ions, the lower is the conductivity. Okay, so degree of this. So electric conductivity of an electrolyte solution depends upon the number of ions present in the solution. That is degree of dissociation or ionization of the electrolyte. Okay, how many ions are formed by an electrolyte? Okay, that is given by degree of dissociation or ionization of the electrolyte. Okay, so the conductivity of an electrolyte is directly proportional to degree of dissociation of that electrolyte. The more is the degree of dissociation, okay, the greater will be the conductivity. Okay, Ari continued. Degree of dissociation or ionization of electrolyte is a fraction of the molecules ionized. It's like a percentage. If 40 students appear for the exam, 20 pass. What is the pass percentage? fraction of the students passed, or fail percentage is fraction of the students failed. In the same way, even here, the degree of ionization is degree of dissociation or ionization of electrolyte is the fraction of the molecules ionized or the fraction of the molecules dissociated. Okay, degree of ionization of an electrolyte is given by number of molecules ionized by total number of molecules. Degree of dissociation or degree of ionization is the same. Okay, so it is denoted by usually by alpha. Okay, this is about the Arrhenius theory. Okay, degree of ionization increases with dilution. It is nearly 1 at infinite dilution. Yeah, as the quantity of solvent increases, okay, the concentration will decrease and dilution will increase. The degree of dissociation will keep on increasing with the increasing dilution. Okay, it is nearly unity at infinite dilution. It is nearly 1. Degree of dissociation is nearly 1 equal to unity. That is at infinite dilution, all the molecules of electrolyte will undergo dissociation. The dissociation of electrolyte will keep on increasing the dilution or on decreasing the concentration of the solution. Okay, the conductivity of an electrolyte increases with increase in temperature. Yeah, say conductivity of an electrolyte is because of movement of electrons. Okay, the conductivity is because of movement of electrons. Okay, so the conductivity of electrolyte is because of movement of ions towards oppositely charged electrodes. Okay, if the temperature increases, the ionic mobility means the speed or the velocity of these ions will increase with increasing temperature. Okay, so as the temperature increases, because the mobility or velocity of the ions increase, so is the conductivity. With increase in temperature, there will be increase in the ionic mobility. Okay, and that leads to increase in the conductivity. So increasing temperature leads to increase in the conductivity of electrolyte solution. The ionization of electrolyte also depends upon the nature of the solvent. The ionization or dissociation of electrolyte, okay, ionization or dissociation of electrolyte will also depend upon the nature of the solvent. For example, NaCl dissociates, okay, in sodium in water. It will not dissociate in benzene. HCl releases H plus ions in water and behaves as acid, Arrhenius acid, whereas the same HCl will not release H plus ions, okay, in the case of benzene or toluene. So the ionization and degree of ionization of electrolyte both will depend on the nature of the solvent as well, not only on the nature of the electrolyte but also on the nature of the solvent as well. Okay, the electrolytic conduction, we have given a diagram. Okay, so ions are moving towards the oppositely charged electrodes. You can obviously see ions are being they are moving towards oppositely charged electrodes. Okay, negatively charged ions are moving towards anode and positively charged ions are moving towards cathode, and here the electrodes are getting their polarity, they are becoming positive or negative because they are connected to the terminals of an external EMF like a battery. Okay, we have discussed about the nature of electrolytes, Arrhenius theory of ionization, effect of temperature and dilution. If temperature increases, the ionization will increase, dilution increase also, the ionization will increase. Okay, let's try to solve a few questions on this topic. Okay, so that our understanding will get strengthened. The process of formation of ions of an electrolyte is called as ionization. Okay, it's not electrolysis. Process of formation of ions is called as ionization, or it is also called as dissociation. Both terms we can use safely. The answer is C. Okay, strong electrolytes are poor conductors, bad conductors, good conductors. Strong electrolytes release large number of ions, so their conductivity will be very high, because the conductivity is proportional to the strength of the ions. The more is the number of ions, the more will be the conductivity. So strong electrolytes are classified or known as good conductors of electricity. Good conductors, D answer. Conductivity is of electrolyte is due to flow of ions, movement of ions or flow of ions. Okay, not anything else. Its answer is A. Which of the following solution conducts electric current? Sugar in water, sugar in ethanol, iodine in ethanol. Say sugar, wherever it is dissolved, it will not ionize. There are no ions in the sugar solution, where it is dissolves in the water or whether it is dissolves in the ethanol. Okay, so A and B are wrong. Iodine also, when it dissolves in ethanol, it doesn't form any sort of ions. Whereas sodium chloride, on dissolving in water, dissociates into Na plus and Cl minus. So since ions are formed, these ions move towards oppositely charged electrodes and thereby they conduct electricity. Okay, so the answer is D, sodium chloride in water. Frequently asked questions from this chapter are, okay, from this topic are: state the postulates of Arrhenius theory of electrolyte dissociation, state the factors that affect the conductivity of electrolyte. Okay, what are the factors affect conductivity of an electrolyte? Nature of the electrolyte, nature of the solvent, okay, temperature, dilution, etc. Okay, now we have more. Let us consider, since time is permitting us, let us see what electrolysis is. Okay, the process of electrolysis, let us try to see what happens in electrolysis. Electrolytic reactions of fused sodium chloride and aqueous sodium chloride. First, let us see the process of electrolysis and sodium chloride and okay, the reactions of fused sodium chloride and aqueous solution of sodium chloride we will consider in the next class. Let us deal with the process of electrolysis. What are electrolytes? To recapitulate, okay, what are electrolytes? Which conduct electrolytes are substances which conduct electricity in the molten state or in solution, because in these two states the ions of the electrolytes become free and they can move from one place to another place. Examples are acids, bases and solutions. What is meant by decomposition? Decomposition is nothing but splitting of a chemical compound into simpler ones. Okay, calcium carbonate on heating dissociates into or decomposes into CaO and CO2. It's a classic example of decomposition. Okay, electrolysis. Electrolysis is decomposition of electrolyte by passing electric current through it. How do we define electrolysis? We define electrolysis as a process of decomposition of an electrolyte, by passing electricity through it. Okay, see, when you have dissolved, whenever we have dissolved an electrolyte in aqueous solution, okay, they spontaneously dissociate into constant ions. Okay, constant ions. And it is a reversible reaction. We have also seen that dissociation of an acid or dissociation of a base, it is a reversible reaction. That is, an acid like HCl dissociates in the forward reaction. Okay, dissociates into to form H plus and Cl minus ions, whereas the dissociation, whereas the H plus and Cl minus ions in a backward reaction, okay, they combine together to form HCl. Okay, this is what we call as a reversible reaction. So the reaction occurs both in the forward direction, the reactant decomposes to form products. Again, in the backward reaction, the products are combining to regenerate the reactant itself. Regenerate the reactant. Okay. So electrolysis is so that is so this decomposition of electrolyte. Okay. But this is ionization. This is a case of ionization. But when electricity passes through these ions present in the solution, these ions are discharged at the electrodes. These ions move towards oppositely charged electrodes. Okay, positively charged cations will go to the cathode. Okay, and gain electrons there, and these ions are discharged. That is in the elemental state. They turn into their elemental state. Element. Okay. Likewise, the negatively charged ions which carry excess electrons will move towards positively charged anode, and they lose their electrons. At anode they undergo oxidation, they lose their electrons, and again they also turn into elemental state. Okay. So what we have started with okay, we have started with a compound, and from compound, when we have passed electricity into the solution, we are ending up with the constant elements. Okay, from compound it is decomposing into constant elements. So how is it brought about? It is brought about by the process of okay, by the process of passing electric current to the solution of electrolyte. So see, electro means electricity, lysis means the decomposition. Here the decomposition of electrolyte is being brought about, okay, it is being brought about by the passage of electricity. So lysis means decomposition. Electrolysis literally means decomposition by passage of electricity. Okay. Electrolysis is carried out in an apparatus called electrolytic cell. Usually this electrolysis is carried out in an apparatus called electrolytic cell. The process of electrolysis involves, during electrolysis what happens? During electrolysis, when the electricity is passed through the electrolyte solution. Okay. The electrolyte solution basically consists of cations as well as anions. Okay. So during electrolysis there will be migration of ions to the oppositely charged electrodes. That is, positively charged cations move towards the oppositely charged negative electrode called cathode. Likewise, the negatively charged anions will move towards positively charged electrode called anode. Okay. So there happens migration of ions during electrolysis when electricity is passed through the electrolyte solution containing ions. There occurs migration of ions towards oppositely charged electrodes, and these ions are discharged at the electrodes. At the cathode, reduction takes place. Okay, cations gain electrons. At the anode, oxidation takes place. Anions lose their electrons. Okay, so cations are discharged or released in the form of element at the cathode, whereas anions are released or discharged or evolved at the anode in the form of element. That's what we mean by discharging of ions occurs at the electrodes. Oxidation of anions occurs at anode. Okay, oxidation of anions takes place at anode. Okay, whereas because anions lose their extra electron at the positively charged anode. Okay, so oxidation of anions is taking place at the anode. Okay, reduction of cations occurs at cathode. That is, positively charged ions which go to the negatively charged cathode, they gain electrons. And turn from positively charged ion to atomic state or elemental state. Okay, so Gaining of electrons we defined as a reduction, we know it very well, it is a reduction. Okay, reduction of cations is occurring at a cathode. So both these reactions, the net effect of this oxidation of anions at anode and reduction of cations at cathode, okay, the net effect is the electrolyte is decomposing, into the constituent elements. Further we will see the examples, okay, you will understand very well in the next class. Class we will see the example of electrolysis of fused sodium chloride as well as electrolysis of aqueous sodium chloride solution. Both of these things these we'll try to learn in the next class. Okay, description of an electrolytic cell. Okay, electrolytic cell is an apparatus in which electrolysis is carried out, quite obvious. Okay, electrolytic cell. See, opposite to electrolytic cell, in the latter part of your syllabus you will come across a galvanic cell also, okay, which is different from the electrolytic cell. Here you limit yourself that electrolytic cell is a cell where electrolysis is carried out. It consists of an electrolyte, okay, in which two metal rods are dipped, called electrodes. Okay, electrolyte solution is taken, so for example salt solution is taken and two electrodes, two metal rods are dipped into it. These are called electrodes. Okay, these electrodes are connected to the two terminals of a battery. These two electrodes are connected to the terminals of a battery, positive terminal and negative terminal of a battery. Okay, the electrode connected to the positive terminal of a battery is called anode, it bears the positive charge. Okay, the metal rod which is connected to the positive terminal of the battery becomes positively charged, it is called anode, and oxidation reaction takes place at the anode. Likewise, the electrode which is connected to the negative terminal of the battery becomes negatively charged, it is called as cathode, and reduction reaction takes place at the cathode. Okay, reaction takes place at the cathode. Cations and anions present in the electrolytic solution migrate towards oppositely charged electrodes when the electricity is passed. See, until the electricity is passed, metal rods remain as such in the form of metal rods only. Okay, only when the electricity is switched on, one metal rod becomes positive, the other becomes negative. Until then, they are mere metal rods, no chemical reaction takes place. So when electricity is switched on, one of the electrodes becomes positively charged anode, other becomes a negatively charged cathode. When the polarity arises, when one becomes anode and other becomes cathode, the charged ions migrate towards opposite charged electrodes. Okay, at anode, anions are oxidized, while at the cathode, cations are reduced. The decomposition of electrolyte takes place in the electrolytic cell. So in this class we have seen, okay, so far what have we seen in this class? We have seen Arrhenius theory of electrolysis, all aspects we have considered, we discussed, we explained, and we learned the concept of electrolysis. Okay, the electrolytic cell. Okay, one is anode connected to positive terminal, cathode is connected to negative terminal, DC source, direct current source. Okay, so this is a pictorial representation of an electrolytic cell. Okay, electrolytic cell involves requirement of external source of energy. Yeah, in any electrolytic cell, okay, we are drawing power from an external source of energy, so to carry out our chemical reactions. So we can say that electrical energy is converted into chemical energy, safely say, in the electrolytic cell, electrical energy, because we are drawing electricity from the electrolytic cell in the form of electricity, okay, electrical energy, to carry out the decomposition of the electrolyte. Okay, so electrical energy is converted into chemical energy. In the electrolytic cell, there is the requirement of an external source of electrical energy, direct DC cell. Okay, and electrical energy is converted into chemical energy. More chemical energy of products than the reactants. Okay, since chemical energy is gained, the products will be of higher energy than the reactants. Redox chemical reactions occur at the electrodes. At anode oxidation is taking place, at cathode reduction is taking place by the passage of electricity. So we say that redox reaction is occurring at the electrodes. Okay, with this we are finishing the electrolytic cell. Okay, thank you all.